Good evening and welcome to the show. We trust you've had yourself a great week. Dealing in land, be it buying, selling or otherwise, can be quite the uphill task, especially when one is not as knowledgeable on how to go about it in line with the law. This is the matter we shall be shedding light on later in the show. First, our property of the week. One of the most beautiful, scenic and tranquil locations along the Laikipia Mount Kenya tourism circuit is now home to a 5-star holiday homes and golfing estate. Mount Kenya Holiday Homes. The development combines the themes of leisure, golf and nature to give a holistic lifestyle. The exclusive 123 acres gated community has 95 holiday homes, each on half an acre, a 9-hole lush green golf course, a forest conservancy with friendly wildlife, and a clubhouse which will also serve as a boutique hotel. The holiday homes, which are for sale, can be bought for own exclusive use or rental, thus giving value to buyers twofold, that is, in terms of investment and in terms of the living experience.
Last year, we won an international award as the best gated community development in East Africa from East Africa Property Awards, and it's because of the unique offering that we are giving to our buyers. You not only get a lot of traffic coming from golfers or people attending events like weddings, but you own a home in a forest conservancy, and that is very, very different from owning a home in upcountry Nairobi.
Located in a beautiful countryside setting, Mount Kenya Holiday Homes blends friendly wildlife animals and conserved natural habitat into the development. The resort provides a unique balance between a world-class golf course, over 100 species of birds, friendly wildlife including gazelles, ostrich, dik-diks, tortoise and Mother Nature, yet all the while maintaining a casually elegant ambience.
In Mount Kenya Holiday Homes, you will find a unique blend with nature. The perimeter fence is solar, street lighting will be solar, and also internal water heating is solar. And we also intend to conserve at least 20 acres of the natural forest, and trees and animals here have a right of way, even if it means shifting a road to save a tree. That is what we do. And every year we are planting at least 1,500 trees, a mix of exotic and indigenous species, just to make the place greener and closer to nature.
Said to be one of East Africa's finest courses, the 9-hole lush green golf course is built to international standards and includes a computerized irrigation system and fine bent grass. The wind factor and water features make it a test for professional and amateur golfers alike. Golf course construction is in its final phase and the course is set for opening on October 17th for guests and residents to enjoy.
We wanted to embrace nature, have it natural as possible without having to do too much of earth moving, etc., etc. Not only to keep the costs down, but land itself has a natural drainage, and we would rather use the natural than try and put in something artificial. Community-based labor here has been excellent, very, very good. They've had lots of opportunities, but I think the more important thing is they've learned so much about building a golf course. We have made this, basically all the tees, all the greens are to the USGA spec, which is all sand-based, and we're using very, very fine grass, which is bent grass. And for the first time in Kenya, we now have sand-based tees, which is a standard in Europe and in the US. We have tried it out of here and we found it to be quite successful. Once we start play on October 17th, then we shall know and see what the results are, but I'm optimistic it'll be great.
You won't have to go far to enjoy leisure living. There is a helipad on site to take advantage of the proximity to the Nanyuki airstrip. The houses are beautifully laid out, presenting 3 house types in the golf resort, their names mimicking the 3 peaks of Mount Kenya, Batian, Nelion and Lenana. The designs combine the best of classic design and local natural materials such as hardwood doors.
Batian is a 4-bedroom all-en-suite, and it's got very big living spaces, is about 262 square meters. And Nelion has got a double volume in the sitting room, is 240 square meters, but they all sit on half an acre. And Lenana is 3-bedroom all en suite, and the unique differentiating feature for Lenana is that it's got a fireplace in the master bedroom, while the other two have only in the living room. Prices range from 24 million Kenya shillings to 26, and starting with Lenana, which is 24 million, it's 200 square meters, and then Nelion, which is 240 square meters, is 25.5, and the top of the range is Batian, 262 square meters, is 26 million. That price includes the cost of the house, the half-acre plot, family membership in the golf course, family membership in the clubhouse and spa, and also free access for the family in the Forest Conservancy and in the recreational center.
All three types of houses take on a natural theme embodied in wood finishes, Mazera stone, and an updated country feel. When there's not much cloud cover, right behind me you'd have a beautiful scene of Mount Kenya, and right ahead of me you'd have a scenic sight of the Aberdares Mountains. Now these picturesque views are not limited to the outdoors. The Mount Kenya Holiday Homes houses have beautiful architecture whose intricacy is definitely worth writing home about. Let's take a tour of the houses. The wooden floor sets the tone with style and elegance. The tasteful combination of the visually impressive ceiling and lighting adds volumes and gives illusion of a much larger room. The fireplace is both ornamental and functional. Done in clay bricks and mazeras, it gives the room a dramatic lift. Functionality was a prime consideration in kitchen design. Soft touch drawers, pull-out cabinets and granite countertops complete the picture. One contractor is constructing all the houses to ensure that the design and quality of finishes is uniform.
What I like about this property is that the external environment is quite uniform. They're not haphazard properties, homes placed everywhere. The internal environment is slightly different. As a homeowner, I have great input in how I want the interior of my home. I have a choice of the types of tiles that I want in my bathrooms, how I want my bathrooms, the fixtures, the fittings, the colors. How do I want to orientate my kitchen, which is, as a woman in the house, is very, very important.
All the bedrooms are en suite. The guest bedroom is spacious enough to hold 2 beds. Sliding wall-to-wall glass doors offer unobstructed views of the golf course. In the second bedroom, a wooden louvered window complements the cascading mahogany and MDF wardrobes. The third bedroom is similar to the second one. In the master bedroom, the double vault ceiling with interesting architectural detail can hold a lure for many people. There is no doubt that it creates a light and airy space, giving the all-important feeling of relaxation. Imagine enjoying panoramic views of the iconic Mount Kenya and Aberdare ranges each day from the comfort of your home. Each house gives a view of both from the bedroom balconies and living room verandas.
My home keeps in tune with this beautiful environment. Sitting out in the patio to see the greenery, the trees, the mountains, the hills. What more do I want?
So far, Phase 1, comprising of 20 units, is 100% sold out. Phase 2, which is also 20 units, is now selling off-plan. 11 of the units are already sold. Construction is ongoing. The clubhouse is going to be ready by next year, and the entire development should be ready in the next 1.5 to 2 years.
There's a huge demand for quality bed capacity in this area, and that's what we want to tap into. and it's become a very popular circuit. People going to Samburu, Ilkwesi, Mount Kenya Safari Club, and we feel that we can bridge that gap. For all those who put their houses on the rental pool as opposed to exclusive use, there'll be a standard rate, and we are at an advanced stage of appointing a hotel, clubhouse, boutique hotel operator who is going to manage the entire resort, including rentals for homeowners who want to put their houses on the rental pool, and that's when the decision on the final rate is going to be made. But yes, it's going to be a standard rate. That rate will also have a percentage that will be considered as part of a service charge, so that a homeowner does not have to cough money at the end of every month as service charge.
The developer is very flexible when it comes to payment options.
There are those who pay based on milestones achieved, whether we agree after deposit, when you get to this level, you pay an additional installment, or those who agree on time-based installments, all locked in an agreement. So there are various options that we can customize for every buyer. There are also those who pay cash up front and say, I want the maximum discount, here's the money, build the house for me, and that's also an option.
Whether your passion is great golf, swimming, wildlife spotting, bird watching, camping and nature walks, jogging, or living within a calm, serene community setting, with an addition of a natural bush spine gym, then Mount Kenya Holiday Homes has the environment for you. Their mission is to deliver exceptional golf, dining, social and recreational experiences with outstanding personalized service to all members, their families and guests in a world-class golf resort. Make Mount Kenya Holiday Homes your home away from home.
To book a unit at Mount Kenya Holiday Homes, you can either visit our website or send us an email or call any of the numbers scrolling on your screen right now, and we'll be able to get back to you and arrange a site visit so that you can choose a plot to build your house on and make a final decision on the house type that you would like to invest in.
A properly designed and constructed fence adds value to your property while complementing your lifestyle. Details on our Property Essential. A fence not only introduces privacy and security to your property, but when chosen carefully, it can significantly enhance curb appeal. A properly designed and constructed fence can add value to your property while complementing your lifestyle. Fences come in all shapes and sizes and can satisfy a variety of demands. Therefore, when considering fence construction options, it is a good idea to take stock of your needs. Do you live in a rural or suburban area? Is your goal to keep children and pets inside, to keep prying eyes outside, or both? To avoid getting overwhelmed with options, start by determining what will work best for your situation and current needs. Any time is a good time to consider upgrading your current fence or adding a new fence to your property. However, when you do, there are several important factors to keep in mind. First and foremost, be practical in your fence selection, as some fencing materials require more maintenance and upkeep than others. Carefully weigh out how much time you have to dedicate to the fence on an annual basis, as well as aesthetic considerations. Whether you plan to have your fence installed in the front yard or in the backyard, it's important to remember that the fence will have a major impact on the overall architectural aesthetics of your home. Consider design factors as color, texture, and general style. Both the color and texture of the fence don't necessarily need to match the house, but they should complement your home and add visual interest to the overall look. Style-wise, it's generally recommended that you closely match the fence and architectural style to create continuity. For instance, a split-rail wooden fence would complement a ranch home perfectly, while a colonial-style home will be best served by a white picket fence, and a Victorian home would nicely be set off with a more ornate cast-iron style. If your home is historic, then choosing a fence style that fits into that period is also wise. The bottom line is that some of the most beautiful fencing materials are also the most difficult to take care of. Recommended maintenance should also be taken into consideration in any fencing decision. While you may be constructing or upgrading your current fence for privacy from neighbors, take care not to block them out entirely. It's therefore prudent to share your basic fence planning ideas with them from the beginning. Include them in your plans and ensure that the fence benefits those on all sides. When choosing a fence for your home, you have almost endless options available. Just remember to carefully consider how the fence will look with your home and landscaping, and how much time you're willing to invest in its care and maintenance. Welcome back. We want to get into a conversation about land acquisition and land disputes. Do you find yourself in that situation? Do you own land, or would you like to know more on what this asset of yours holds for you in terms of the legal aspect? To have this conversation, I'm joined by June Njoroge Ngwele, who's an advocate and a partner at Mboya, Wangongu and Waiyaki Advocates. Now, I'd just like to first begin with thanking you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and maybe let's begin with, what do I need to look around in terms of when I'm planning to buy land?
First and foremost, I would advise everyone who wants to buy land that it's prudent to engage a professional, and in that case, a qualified lawyer who will be able to take you through the processes and will be able to undertake the due diligence on your behalf and also review the documentation.
Take me through the processes. What does this include?
That's probably the due diligence bit, where you will request for a copy of the title to enable you undertake a search at the lands registry to confirm whether the person who's selling the land is the actual owner of the land or the registered proprietor. And also it will assist you in confirming whether the property has been encumbered or there's a charge or a caveat registered against it. Then also, further, you should also obtain a copy of the ID and PIN of the seller for purposes of knowing who you're dealing with. And if it's a company, get a copy of the certificate of incorporation that will enable you conduct a search at the company's registry to confirm who the directors and shareholders are. We would advise that you check with the Survey of Kenya, or KURA, that is a Kenya Urban Roads Authority, to ensure that the land is not a road reserve, because that has been an issue of late. And then also look at the Ndongo report. You never know, the land could be adversely mentioned there. It could be public land that was illegally allocated. Make sure that your land is not in that report. Then ultimately go on the land, go and view the land, make sure that the land is not a swamp, it actually exists. So a swamp, it's not on the riparian. Talk to the neighbors even, interrogate the history of the land. I normally say you can never be too careful. With the fraudulent dealings that are going on, just take precaution.
That is largely on the buyer's end.
Yes.
What due diligence is meant to be taken by the seller?
For the seller, it's a bit easier in the sense that you're just disposing of the land. So probably you'll ask for a copy of the ID or passport or the person who's buying the land, just to get to know who you're dealing with. And if it's a company, of course, a certificate of incorporation for the necessary due diligence. Then you can engage a valuer, a land valuer, to just ascertain that you're selling the land at the current market rate so that you can get your return. Then, of course, I would advise any seller who's selling land to ensure that you don't give possession to the buyer before they complete paying their purchase price. Because now under the law, they are protected in that you cannot be able to evict them forcefully if they have defaulted in making payment. And you have to go to court to get a court order for you to do that. So just make sure that they make payment before you give them possession of the land. You've
mentioned about a valuer. As a point, you mentioned the Survey of Kenya. What professionals are involved in addition to an advocate in the whole process of transferring land?
Of course, there's a lawyer. Then there's a surveyor. The surveyor is actually meant to, for instance, when you look at the title, there's the acreage on the land that is normally indicated on the title, to confirm whether the acreage of the land on the title coincides with what is on the ground. And in that case, you will need a surveyor to go on the ground and do their usual survey work to ensure that that is done, because of course that will affect the pricing of the land. And of course, there's a land valuer to ascertain the value of the property that you're either disposing of or you're buying.
In your experience, having dealt with a case of where people are having transfer of ownership of land, what are some of the issues that usually come up in terms of conflict, possibly?
Okay. One of them is if the land is illegally acquired by the seller, or he doesn't have good title, So that, of course, will be an issue that will affect you as a buyer, because, of course, you'll be embroiled in court battles, especially if you had paid some amounts. You'll probably have to follow up and as an interested party. Then there's also the fact if there's a tenant on that land, or if there are squatters on that particular land that you want to buy. And also if there's no agreement as to the mode and the amount of payment of the purchase price. Those are some of the few things. And also if the agents, I normally advise people to deal directly with the parties, if they're agents who misrepresent either party. So that could bring rise to conflicts.
We have people speaking of double allocation of land. You find a same piece of land has got two people who are claiming ownership. What could be the cause, one, of that situation? And for a person who finds themselves in that situation, what would be the way out?
Normally, double allocation will occur if two buyers or two purchasers go and buy the same property from maybe the same seller, and which normally happens if you've not conducted your due diligence, you've not done a background check to ensure that the land is not owned or is not, or does belong to the person who's selling it to you. Because of course, if it has been transferred to somebody else, then they should be the ones who are registered as proprietors. But another trick now thing comes in where there is no title. So how do you get to know whether the land has been double allocated? That now is a question that you pose to yourself. Are you willing to go out there and risk buying land that doesn't have a title, that you're not certain or sure that does not belong to somebody else? There have been areas that have been affected by that issue, like maybe in Ruai, that's been one of the major the areas that have been affected by this issue. So it's good, or it's prudent, and advise people when you're dealing with land, at least deal with land that has a title.
We have a case where possibly someone passed on but did not have a will. How is that handled?
If somebody passed on without a will, is what we refer to in law as having died intestate. It means that, first and foremost, just under the Succession Act, nobody is allowed to deal with the land belonging to a deceased unless you have authority from the courts, whether they have a will in place or they did not leave a will behind. So in this case where a person dies intestate or without a will, then the people who wish to be administrators of that estate, and preferably the close members of family, must apply to court for what you call the letters of administration. So once that is issued, they can be able to follow up. There's normally, for the letters of administration, what the court will order is for 30-day notice before they issue the letters to allow any objections to be raised. If there are no objections, they'll issue the letters. Then subsequently, they'll order that another notice of 6 months is published in the Kenyan Gazette, which will lapse, upon which you'll be given what you call a confirmation of grant. Then once you get the confirmation of grant, that's when you can be able to deal with the property of that deceased person. You can be able to now, if it's a land, you can be able to be transferred to the beneficiaries through what you call a transfer by transmission.
So basically, if someone died without having put down a will, it means that land cannot be owned until at least 6 months after. I
would actually say 7 months and above, because before you get the letters of administration, you must at least, there's a period of 30 days of waiting before you get the letters, then another 6 months period before you get the confirmation of grant. So in the event that there is land, the deceased owned land, you're not able to transfer that land unless you have the confirmation of grant. That is also a requirement at the lands registry, and you're lodging any transfer, and the person who's the owner of the land is deceased, they ask for confirmation of grant from the High Court.
If I find myself in a case where there's some form of dispute between myself and another person, what is the proper channel to follow in terms of resolving it? Under
the Land Act, I believe it's Section 150, the land and environmental courts have been established to handle any disputes relating to land. Regarding public land, the National Land Commission is mandated under the Act for that particular commission to handle any matters involving either disposition or grant of public land. And regarding disputes to do with the boundaries or beacons or encroachment, involving encroachment, also under the Land Registration Act, the registrar can be able to determine this kind of situation or this kind of disputes before you can escalate the matter to court.
This is a very broad topic which we are yet to fully explore. We shall pick this up next week. This 4-bedroom house is located in Savannah Estate in Donholm. It has its own compound and a detached servant quarters. There is ample parking space on the Cabro paved driveway and a garden area at the back of the house. The monthly rent is 40,000 shillings. This apartment is located a few meters away from Nakumatt Bamburi. Each room is fitted with ceiling fans and backup water is readily available from underground water reserve tanks. The monthly rent is 12,500 shillings. This master and suite apartment is located in Kileleshwa. It features a recreational area with expansive gardens, a gazebo and a children's playground. Backup water is from the on-site borehole and a standby generator in case of power outages. CCTV cameras have been installed in common areas and internet connection is in place. The monthly rent is 42,000 shillings inclusive of service charge. Some great insight on how one can turn their house into not only being a home, but also being an income generator. That's the show for this week. Thank you for joining me. Have yourself a great week. Goodbye.